Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'd like to call to order the Monday, April 14th business meeting of the Cabarrus County Board of Education. And with that, we will have our opening ceremony and the presentation of colors. The colors today are being presented by Cadet Second Lieutenant Isaac Robertson, Cadet Second Lieutenant Ismael Villasenor, Cadet Senior Airman Mason Robinson, and Cadet Airman First Class Joshua Villasenor. The Air Force JRTC cadets are from Northwest Cabarrus High School. Thank you. I would like to recognize, and let's give a round of applause to our instrumental team. The brass quartet members are Victoria Baldowski, I'm sure I didn't get that right, Eric Sanchez, Melchor Dominguez, and Tyler Martinez. And I tell you, if you've ever played in a band, only having 4 instruments, you can't hide. So that was outstanding. Thank you again very much for being here. Okay, board members, we will move on, and I will take a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion carries, and we will move on with the recognitions portion of our program and the Impact Through Education Awards, and we will ask Ms. Ronnie Boone to come to the podium.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, members of the audience.
Tonight, for our Impact Through Education Awards, we will recognize students and staff members at Harrisburg Elementary School and also at Northwest Cabarrus High School. Before we begin tonight's awards, I want to extend our thanks and gratitude once again to Concord Printing for being the sponsor for these awards for this school year. We appreciate their support of our students and our staff and our school system. Now on to tonight's awards. We'll begin with Harrisburg Elementary School, and I'd like to invite any members of the Harrisburg Elementary School administrative team to please come forward at this time. Come forward a little bit. There you go. Thank you. Our first honoree from Harrisburg Elementary this evening is Carly Keller. Would Carly and her family please come forward? In the popular Harry Potter book series, Dumbledore says, "Our choices show what we truly are, far more than our abilities." This quote is on the wall of Carly Keller's 5th grade classroom at Harrisburg Elementary School, and she truly exemplifies what Dumbledore was trying to teach the students at Hogwarts. Carly has many abilities and qualities that make her stand out in school and outside school. Initiative, hard work, and respect for others are just a few that could be mentioned. However, it is her respect, caring, and helpful character that shines through each day by the choices she makes in her 5th grade classroom. Her biggest choice was to simply be a friend to another 5th grader who comes to spend time in her classroom every day. This may not seem like a big deal, but Carly's friend has special needs. He's not like every other 5th grader that Carly hangs out with, but Carly's okay with that. She helps keep him on track during science class. She even volunteers to be his partner during class activities and on field trips. No one has to ask her, she just does it. Not to mention, she's polite, follows the rules, goes over and beyond in her schoolwork, and that is just inside the walls of Harrisburg Elementary. In a time when many preteens are entertaining that stage where everything is about them, Carly turns the table and takes care of others. Carly is also impacting education outside the classroom by being an advocate for endangered wildlife like sea turtles and by using her skills as a cross-country runner for the Harrisburg Runners, where she qualified for nationals this past December. No one can deny that Carly has outstanding abilities that make her a wonderful young lady. However, it is the positive, caring choices she makes which impact her education and that of others that truly make her shine. Congratulations, Carly. You are an Impact Through Education Award winner for Harrisburg Elementary. Our next honoree from Harrisburg Elementary is Ben Status. Would Ben and his family please come forward? Go back, he thought. No good at all. Go sideways? Impossible. Go forward? Only thing to do. On we go. The character Bilbo Baggins said in the Tolkien classic novel, The Hobbit. This quotation from his favorite book describes the determination, hard work, and positive attitude of 5th grader Ben Status. Ben makes an impact on education every day through his academics and participation in Math Olympiad, Quiz Bowl, and Battle of the Books clubs, just to name a few. He is a hard worker who likes a challenge and likes to have fun, just like Bilbo Baggins. Outside of school, Ben plays 4 sports: baseball, hockey, basketball, and flag football. It is common for Ben to share funny and adventurous stories from the previous weekend's baseball game or a great athletic move a classmate accomplished outside of school. Ben makes an impact in these activities by showing great sportsmanship and by encouraging everyone on his team to do their very best. Ben also shows kindness and respect to his classmates and teachers. There is a student with special needs who spends a lot of time in Ben's homeroom class. Ben is always happy to help this student and work with him when he needs assistance. He is patient and does not grow frustrated when working with his classmate. Ben is always mindful of the beauty and challenges of people who may be different than he is. Ben enjoys learning new ideas as well, and can always be seen with a huge book in his hands, eager to read about more adventures and new discoveries. Ben Status is a wonderful student and young man who already makes an impact on his peers in so many wonderful ways. He is truly an exemplary future leader in the making. Congratulations, Ben. You're an Impact Through Education Award winner for Harrisburg Elementary. Our next Harrisburg Elementary School honoree is Mrs. Krista Eason. Would Ms. Eason and her family please come forward? Step forward a little bit for me. Krista Eason moved from teaching kindergarten for 14 years at Harrisburg Elementary School last year to become the technology facilitator. After realizing that she had the skills and desire to branch outside of the classroom, Mrs. Eason decided that the time was right for her to work on technology certification at East Carolina University and begin another chapter in her professional life. Mrs. Eason is as excited as a little girl with a new puppy. She abounds with energy to learn new technology advances and help everyone in the school share those new resources. Not a day goes by that Mrs. Eason isn't instructing a student or a teacher in how to apply internet resources on iPads or laptops. Each week you can see her attending grade-level professional learning community meetings to take notes about the curriculum and offer strategies to enhance the educational experience in the classroom. Everyone thinks Mrs. Eason is wonderful. She has an upbeat, positive attitude and is willing to help as quickly as she can. She's great to work with because, as one colleague says, she doesn't make you feel stupid. She never gets impatient with the endless questions and excites everyone about learning new technology applications during Wired Wednesdays training sessions. She even makes desserts, making those afternoons even better. The highlight of monthly faculty meetings is the technology release time drawing. The winner of this award gets Mrs. Eason to conduct a classroom computer lesson so that the teacher can have a little more planning time. Mrs. Eason shows enthusiasm in all that she does for the school, from the morning broadcast announcements to car rider duty in the afternoon. Solving computer issues, co-teaching technology-based lessons, coaching teachers and students, training small groups or individuals, assisting with testing, everything is completed with students in mind. Mrs. Eason goes the extra mile to do what's right for students and teachers. Mrs. Eason has lived in Cabarrus County her entire life. Family time is important to her. Her husband and 2 sons are the joys of her life. The boys come to school with her each day and always like to help their mom. Her family is to be commended for the support they give her as she works way beyond the normal school hours to be the best technology facilitator she can be. Mrs. Eason is amazing and has a tremendous impact on education at Harrisburg Elementary School, and for that we say thank you. Congratulations. And our final honoree from Harrisburg Elementary School this evening is Mr. Junior Almond. Would Mr. Almond and his family please come forward? Leonard Junior Almond has been the head custodian at Harrisburg Elementary School since 1992. During his 22 years at Harrisburg Elementary, Mr. Almond has worked with many students, teachers, and administrators. Students, parents, and co-workers enjoy his friendly personality, positive attitude, and humble nature. When asked what he thought about being selected as the Impact Through Education winner, Mr. Almond stated, "I thought they should have given it to someone really important, not me." When someone visits Harrisburg Elementary School for the first time, a phrase that is commonly uttered is, "Wow, I cannot believe the school is 14 years old." This can be directly attributed to the care, devotion, and hard work of Mr. Almond and his staff. As tirelessly as they work to keep the school beautiful and in running order, Mr. Almond is always willing to help a student or provide assistance to staff members on a moment's notice, and he always arrives with a smile. Outside of school, Mr. Almond enjoys hunting, fishing, and spending time with his family. There are many devoted and caring professionals who fill the halls and classrooms of Harrisburg Elementary School. Mr. Almond is definitely one of them, and whether he realizes it or not, Mr. Almond is in fact really important to everyone at Harrisburg Elementary School and to its success. Congratulations, Mr. Almond. Thank you.
And next, we'll have Northwest Cabarrus High School. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Fantastic.
So I'd like to invite any members of the Northwest Cabarrus High School administrative team to come forward at this time. Our first honoree this evening from Northwest Cabarrus High School is Gabrielle Jenkins. Would Gabrielle and her family please come forward? Gabrielle, or Gabby as she is known, is a senior at Northwest Cabarrus High School. She is the student body president and has been involved in leadership for 3 years. Her academic success has also earned her membership in the Beta Club and the National Honor Society. When asked about Gabby, one teacher replied, "For many teachers, high grade point averages are what usually makes a student stand out. While this is also the case with Gabby, it's not what makes her special. What makes Gabby special is that she truly is good people. She's willing to go out of her way to help out the masses, organizing a winter dance, making school-wide activities bigger and better, creating videos to help the school succeed on national tests. These are just a few of the things that makes Gabby a standout student. Add in her grades and extraordinary work ethic, and you have a student who will be remembered by many at Northwest Cabarrus High School, not just her English teacher. Another teacher said, on every occasion, Gabby goes above and beyond expectations to not only ensure success, but to guarantee that her peers feel cared for, listened to, and included. She's not only an incredibly intelligent young lady who challenges herself in the classroom, but she's also a humble individual who is the perfect role model for her fellow students in the trying social realm that is high school. In any situation, she shines, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds for her. Congratulations, Gabby. You are an Impact Your Education Award winner for Northwest Cabarrus High School. Our next honoree from Northwest Cabarrus High School is James Stahl. Would James and his family please come forward? James is also a senior at Northwest Cabarrus High School. He has been an integral part of the student body since he stepped on the Northwest campus. He is a highly motivated student with a positive attitude. He constantly looks for ways to challenge himself and his classmates. He does not allow himself to settle for anything less than his best. What is most impressive about James is that he is mature and approaches tasks in a professional manner. James' work ethic and character are evident in all that he does for his school and his community. James helped secure the first ever National Honor Society chapter at Northwest Cabarrus High School, of which he is president. He is also a member of the Beta Club, the Northwest Cabarrus varsity swim team, the Superintendent's Advisory Council, and participates in numerous community service activities. According to one of his teachers, James is one of the best all-around students I've had the pleasure of teaching. He is conscientious about his schoolwork, and while I know it's technically impossible to give 110%, James gives the utmost effort on all assignments, big and small. Besides being a top student academically, James is a fine gentleman too. In discussion, he is confident of his opinions while being respectful of those whose opinions differ. And he never leaves my classroom without wishing me well. Congratulations, James. You're an Impact Your Education Award winner for Northwest Cabarrus High School. Our next honoree from Northwest Cabarrus High School is Ms. Megan Frazier. Would Ms. Frazier and her family please come forward? Mrs. Frazier is a language arts teacher at Northwest Cabarrus High School. She began teaching at Northwest in 2004, and in that time has served as head tennis coach, including Conference Coach of the Year. She has been a department head, a professional learning community facilitator, and a school improvement team representative. She has mentored new teachers in informal settings and provides leadership and guidance both in her department and across the school. Mrs. Frazier seeks out opportunities to make Northwest an amazing place to learn and work. Just this school year, she created a school-wide ACT review process to help students prepare for the PLAN and ACT tests. Following that, she implemented a school-wide character education program as a follow-up to the school's Rachel's Challenge initiative, reaching out to all students in the school and encouraging kind and thoughtful behaviors. She has taken total ownership of these projects, enlisting help, delegating, and communicating to make them a success. Mrs. Frazier is a model of professionalism for her peers and for students. When asked about Mrs. Frazier, a student replied, "I always appreciate how Mrs. Frazier makes English literature easy to comprehend. We have a lot of fun projects that help to keep things interesting. Her wit always made class enjoyable. She is a true asset to Northwest." Mrs. Frazier, thank you for making an impact through education at Northwest Cabarrus High School. And our final honoree from Northwest Cabarrus High School this evening is Officer Dean Vernon. Would Officer Vernon please come forward with his family? Officer Vernon has been the school resource officer at Northwest Cabarrus High School for 5 years. His presence and positive influence on students have had a major impact on the culture of Northwest Cabarrus. Not only does he serve as a sworn officer, he also takes on the role of mentor, mediator, administrator, coach, and friend to students. Students and staff know that they are safe because he is around. According to one Northwest Cabarrus student, Officer Vernon means so much to this school. He was a basketball coach and made the team feel like we were his daughters. He is disciplined and a caring person, and he puts the best interest of everyone here at Northwest before himself. I feel well protected and cared for every day. He also is key in helping students make decisions and will provide advice anytime it is needed. Officer Vernon also receives praise from CCS administrators. Assistant Superintendent Dr. Chris Louder says, "Dean Vernon is the model for a school resource officer. His integrity and wisdom make him an integral part of the Northwest Cabarrus and Cabarrus County Schools families. We are extremely fortunate that he serves our schools and our community every day." Officer Vernon, thank you for being a part of our community and our school system, and we appreciate all that you do.
Thank you, Ms. Boone. You know, I looked back there and I wondered why we had a resource officer in plain clothes, and I thought maybe something was going on that I didn't know about. Well, heightened security. But before we move on, I did want to recognize we are being provided security by Officer Keith Drake. So thank you very much for being here. Officer Drake's an elementary DARE officer, and next year will be at Bethel Elementary, I believe. So we are thankful that you are here, and we will now move on to 4.2, our Hilbish Ford Teacher of the Month, and Mr. Tim Vaughn is not here, but will Glenda Jones and Dr. Shepard go to the podium for us, please?
All right, there we go. I'm sorry. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. Tonight we are excited to recognize our newest Hilbish Ford Teacher of the Month. As always, we extend our thanks and gratitude to Mr. Tim Vaughn and Hilbish Ford for sponsoring this wonderful program and for their generosity. As a matter of fact, we want to have a quick shout out for Amber Monroe, who's received the award in Kannapolis City Schools tonight, and that is the daughter-in-law of our very own Miss Eileen Monroe, who's not here yet to join us because I believe she's over there with that award. But having said that, Hilbish Ford is so generous to do that for both Kannapolis City and for Cabarrus County Schools. And the Cabarrus County Schools Hilbish Ford Teacher of the Month for April is Miss Michelle Barbie. Miss Barbie, would you, your family, and any members of your school's administrative team please come forward? All right. Michelle Barbie is a chemistry teacher at Mount Pleasant High School. She was nominated by two of her students who wrote, "Miss Barbie's dedication to science and to her students is seriously one in a million. She develops a strong rapport with students. Her knowledge of the subject matter is incredible. Not only does she teach us this oh-so-difficult topic of chemistry, she makes it flow with ease so that all can understand. She is interested in the success of her students. She is fantastic. Miss Barbie, on behalf of Cabarrus County Schools, thank you for all that you do to ensure our students' success." Now, would Dr. Shepard please present you with your award and your check? And again, congratulations, Miss Barbie. Again, congratulations to Miss Barbie and to Miss Amber Monroe from Kannapolis City Schools.
Yes, congratulations to both of you. Eileen, welcome. We're glad to have you. Okay, we will move on to 4.3, Young Authors and Forever Young Authors State Winners, and we will ask Dr. Tara Natras to come to the podium.
Good evening. Each year, the North Carolina Reading Association and local county groups sponsor the Young Authors Contest to showcase writers in our schools from every grade level and our faculty and staff in the Forever Young category. Congratulations to the following students and educators who have been selected state winners in the Young Authors and Forever Young Authors competitions. So when I call your name, please come forward. We're going to do all of the elementary winners, and you'll stay here, and then we'll do the picture, okay? So I'd like to invite forward from Beverly Hills, Colin Monty. Do we have Colin? Okay. From Carl A. Furr, Emily Gaines. From Boger Elementary School, we have Gracelyn Hinson, Aiden Lockhart, and Peyton Ranieri. From Harrisburg, we have Emery Damerson. From Mount Pleasant, we have McKenna Buckwell. And from Mount Pleasant, we also have Sawyer Helms. From Pitt School Road, we have Bailey Parks. From Rocky River, we have Jada Brooks. From Weddington Hills, we have Gracelyn Donahue. And also from Weddington Hills, we have Charlotte Ostema. And from Odell, we have Allison Reed and Emma Wayne. So these are our elementary young author winners. We've got some parents. We'll let them do their. All right. Thank you guys very much. Okay. And we also have from our elementary schools our Forever Young authors. So these are our staff members who participate. We have Denise Harrelson from Harrisburg Elementary School. Denise, if you'll come on up. We also have from Harrisburg, Angie Martin. From Irvin Elementary School, Melissa Brantley. And from Odell, Lynn Marsh. These are our elementary Forever Young authors. Congratulations.
Gotcha.
All right. Thank you. And we also have a group from our middle school. Dr. Milan was unable to be here with us, so I will present those names as well. From C.C. Griffin, we have Carson Eves, Mackenzie Hansen, both from C.C. Griffin. If you would come forward. From J.N. Freeze Magnet, we have Melia Eaton and Allison Hallbach. And from Northwest Cabarrus, we have Naya Buckner and Vernon Nelson Jr. These are our middle school young authors. Congratulations. And we do have Forever Young authors from our middle schools as well. From C.C. Griffin, we have Deborah Efford. And from C.C. Griffin, Lori Perry. Please come forward. All right, it looks like we will celebrate them at C.C. Griffin. So those are our award winners. Thank you very much.
Congratulations to all the winners, the students and the Forever Young. Oh, what a tremendous thing to see the teachers being involved in that program too. So that's outstanding. So board members, we will move on to 4.4. We'll ask Donna Smith to come to the podium, and she's on the spot. She's right there. The National Teen Council. So
Absolutely.
This is exciting. So go right ahead.
I'd like to invite Keely Curry to the front, as well as any members of her family, Concord City Council, and Central Cabarrus. I would like to introduce Keely Curry, who is a 9th grader at Central Cabarrus. She's been selected to serve on the 2013-14 National Teen Council in the role as media rep. The vision of the National Teen Council is to connect the nation's brightest young leaders, providing them with resources and ideas to make an impact on both the local and nationwide levels. This council was really founded as an opportunity to engage our nation's greatest leaders, young leaders, that is. The program is student-based and student-ran and is not affiliated with any national governmental organization. Student leaders engage in discussion about local and national youth issues, exchange leadership ideas, and take part in both local and national projects. We are so pleased that Keely is part of this council. But we need to know more about Keely. She's a member of the Student Council at Central and the City of Concord's Youth Council. She's a senior Girl Scout, having earned both the bronze and silver awards. For Keely, leadership is a responsibility and duty to have a voice and role in the community with hopes to reach even beyond, to create positive growth and change. I understand you feel very strongly about every youth having the ability to access information and resources to keep them safe and to provide them with a path to success. She really wants to be a part of the ripple effect that creates a movement of getting youth connected and working towards solutions. She seeks to learn more about the issues that face youth and how she alone, along with her group, can make a difference in getting attention to those who may feel they have no voice. We are truly fortunate to have Keely and Cabarrus County Schools representing Central Cabarrus High School, the Concord City Council, and also just Cabarrus County in your selection as a National Teen Council member, and specifically media rep. Thank you so much, Keely, for coming forward, and we want to give you an opportunity to meet our board. Thank you.
Next, we have Ms. Ann Burr to the podium for our All-State Band recognition.
Awesome. Good evening. The competition to select students for the prestigious North Carolina All-State Band was held on March 15th at East Davidson High School, with over 400 high school band programs participating in the audition across the state. This year, Cabarrus County is proud to have 3 students that auditioned and achieved this high level of recognition. When I call your name, please come down with your family. First, from Cox Mill High School, we have Tanner West. Tanner is a 12th grade student. He is a first chair French horn player, and he is under the direction of Mr. Joseph Earp. Our next winner is from Northwest Cabarrus High School, Amani Robinson. Amani is a 10th grader. He is a 4th chair tuba player, and he is under the direction of Mr. Sam Bogan. Next we have from Hickory Ridge High School, Reed Herrera. Reed is a 10th grade student, a first chair flute player, and is under the direction of Mr. Chris White. Selection into the North Carolina All-State Band is the highest possible honor for a band student in North Carolina. Only students who are seated in the very top of their section in all district band are eligible to audition. Most students selected for this ensemble take weekly private lessons, play an intermediate professional quality instrument, and regularly practice at least 1 to 2 hours per day. Many colleges and universities offer scholarships to all-state caliber students. These students will now have the opportunity to attend the All-State Honors Band Clinic, which will be held May 2nd through May 4th in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, with the finale being a concert by the All-State Band. Good luck to each of you, and congratulations on your selection to be a part of the 2014 North Carolina All-State Honors Band.
Okay, what an incredible achievement, musical achievement that is. We will move on to 4.6, Verizon Innovation App Challenge, and we will welcome Dr. Jason Van Huclem to the podium.
All right. First, we want to say congratulations to the team of 7th graders from J.N. Freese Magnet School, whose app has been recognized as the Best in State winner in the 2014 Innovative App Challenge sponsored by Verizon. Team members include Colton Roberts, Blaine Mercer, Jake Meckley, Thomas Baker, and Chris Little. If you guys would please come forward. Under the guidance of their teacher and team sponsor, Frank Parrish. If Frank is here, would you please come forward? They created an app called the InfoStudy. It's an app to help students and teachers. The team now has the opportunity to advance to the next level of competition in their quest to become national winners. Designed to ignite students' interest in science, technology, engineering, and math, the Verizon Innovative App Challenge shows students exciting new possibilities for their futures, opening doors they may never have known about. It provides the opportunity for middle school and high school students working with the faculty advisor to apply their STEM knowledge, ingenuity, and creativity to develop an original mobile app concept that incorporates STEM and addresses a need or problem in their school or community. Congratulations to our students, and we wish you luck in the next round.
Okay, board members, we will move on to Section 5 of our agenda, the approval of the minutes. We need to approve minutes from the March 3rd work session and budget public hearing, the March 10th business meeting, and the March 20th budget work session. Does anybody have any additions or corrections or anything they want to make? Or Dr. Phillips?
I have a small one. I wasn't there on the March 20th meeting, but in the middle of the third page, it says Ms. Klutz reviewed the proposed capital outlay budget totaling $2.8 million. I think that should be the proposed non-facilities capital outlay budget, because it goes on to talk about the capital budget greater than $500,000, which of course is much more.
Does anybody have any objection to that? I'm not currently looking at it, but no objection? Okay, then we will make that correction as noted.
And then I need
And
to
you're
not
not going to
vote
vote on that
one.
I think what we've done before is you're only voting on the ones where you have attended, because I think, Mark, we have not separated each one. I had 3 separate votes. Okay.
Correct.
That's fine. Well, I need a motion to approve the minutes as corrected.
So moved.
I have a motion
Second.
by Mr. Harrison and a second by Mr. Walter. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, Ms. Monroe, that passes. And we will move on to Section 6, the reports section. And the first order of business on the reports is board chair comments. And I'm going to read a proclamation that Soil and Water Stewardship Week, whereas fertile soil and clean water provide us with our daily sustenance, and whereas effective conservation practices have helped provide us a rich standard of living, and whereas our security depends upon healthy soil and clean water, and whereas stewardship calls for each person to help conserve these precious resources, thereby I do hereby proclaim April 27th to May 4th Soil and Water Stewardship Week. I don't know how to work Dr. Shepard's. That's the start down. I'll repeat that. April 27th to May 4th, 2014 is Soil and Water Stewardship Week. And Dennis Testerman gave us this and asked us to make sure that we told the rest of the board and the viewing public that week is Soil and Water Stewardship Week. So with that, I will hand you your computer back. We will move on for our superintendent's comments. Dr. Shepard.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Just a few items tonight. First off, April is National Donate Life Month, which encourages Americans to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors, and to celebrate those who have saved lives through the gift of donation. Now, we have a commemorative flag flying in the front of the Education Center out front this month to show our support for this worthy cause. You can learn more about National Donate Life Month by visiting the website at www.donatelifenc.org. Also, State Superintendent of Schools June Atkinson will be in town at a town hall meeting this week on Wednesday, April the 16th at Cox Mill High School. The event is free and open to the public, and I'm not certain of the time for that event. It's an evening event. 6 to 7:15. So we'll have that information on our website. I'm also excited to announce that Cabarrus County Schools has been named one of the best communities for music education in our country by the National Association of Music Merchants. The program applauds the efforts of teachers, administrators, parents, students, and community leaders working to ensure that music education is part of the core curriculum. Last week, our elementary schools hosted kindergarten registration for 2014-2015. We extend a warm welcome to our newest families and friends. And finally, I want to remind our viewers that the spring edition of our digital magazine, the CCS Lookbook, is now available at Cabarrus County, at www.cabarrusschools.info. There's also a link on our school system website. The new edition features articles about community partnerships, our student and employee volunteer efforts, and our Kids Plus before and after school child care programs. I also want to let everyone know that the final billboard in our Clear Choice campaign series is now on display on Highway 29 near Pitt School Road. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Shepard. We will move on to 7.1, guest speakers. Guest speakers may be scheduled on the agenda of the board's business meeting by calling Eileen Monroe, the board clerk, at 704-262-6238 by 12 noon on the Friday prior to the meeting. Individuals addressing the board may speak for 3 minutes, and persons representing a group may speak for 5 minutes. The Board of Education would sincerely like to thank anyone and everyone that comes to our board meeting and signs up and speaks, and we are glad that you're here, and we welcome you. We have tonight 5 speakers, and we will welcome the first one, Mr. Chad Mockerman. Chad, are you here? There you are.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Call me on when I get to my 3 minutes.
A timer right in front of you.
All right.
Although she's already started, so you better get
You're
going.
tough on me. No, I really appreciate you guys taking time out from your normal day. And I want to take a second and just basically talk to you about kind of who I am, what my expectations are, my style, and also kind of my plan. And Lynn, I apologize if you had to go through this. I know how that feels on the other end of that. But when I look at how we are in this school and what I saw, what you guys kind of just awarded these kids, these are things that are going to stick with them forever. You know, they may have walked out, but they're going to remember what you guys did. And I see Cabarrus County Schools really as a output of what you've already done, and I'd like to, in the commissioner role, help continue that. I obviously have daughters in the school, and I think what you guys have done, Ms. Marsh was here. I can't say how much I love her for what she's done for my kids. But my plan is really to try to help us create a magnet program for the best teachers, supported by the best facilities and programs in the country, where people turn to Cabarrus County and that's where they want to go. And I believe we do that through collaboration. And I think what that means is we get together between the county commissioners, the city councils, the school boards, and we find out, first of all, we define what great is for a teacher. I think we actually had a pretty good example right here already. We define what great is for facilities and for programs. And then we work towards that gap to start achieving those things. Some things are going to be things that your guys are going to have to achieve. Some things are going to have to be the things that the commissioners achieve. But we all have the same idea in mind. I think that's what we've kind of missed so far. The style that you're going to see from me is one around collaboration. I don't have all the best answers. Nobody does. I haven't found one person yet that really has the best answers as a complete plan. You're not going to see me coming up with this in my living room. I think we have a good vision, and I think that means that we have to work together to find out what that looks like. And I don't see that you guys have that currently when you've gone forward with your current proposals. The final thing that I'll talk about is kind of how I expect to get there. And I think the way we get there is a little bit different. It's sort of a long-term vision, what would I do currently, and then the long-term vision. I believe that we need to cut spending for where we are currently at for the current staff budgets. Now, that doesn't mean we stop spending for where we are at. In other words, we've already spent X amount of dollars. We have a spending monthly rate. Let's keep it through the rest of the year. It doesn't mean we cut any programs. Take the incremental that we've got there and put it towards some of the project type work, not the capital expenditures that we've got. Then take the capital expenditures and put them on a bond proposal and let the public decide. And that may mean a tax increase, frankly. But long term, there's a lot of our debt that's rolling off that will help to pay for some of that. What I'm expecting from you is something that I haven't seen on our website, but I have seen on CMS's site, and that is a good prioritization of what programs we want to do, followed by what are the outputs. So what kind of impact do you guys expect to have from some of those? And I think that will help sell the idea a little bit better than what we've had. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mockerman. Our next speaker is Tracy Brown. And you see you got a little timer?
I do. Do I hit a button?
It's
It's on. Okay. Thank you for all that you do to ensure that my children receive a quality education and opportunities to excel. I approach you with an attitude of gratitude. You definitely do not receive enough accolades for everything that you deal with, and so thank you. Last Monday, I attended the Mount Pleasant Town Meeting, where the commissioners voted to return the issue back to the Board of Education for Mount Pleasant Middle School. As a mother of 3 children living in the Mount Pleasant School District, it is this issue that I wish to address tonight. Mr. Kiger, you are a licensed North Carolina general contractor who consults on multi-million-dollar projects. You have a very expansive expertise in the area of construction. In fact, many years ago at the Cabarrus County Fair, you and I spoke for nearly an hour about your background, and I was so impressed with your skill set. You personally promised me that you would approach the construction of new schools strategically. You said that you would perform the necessary due diligence, evaluating all options through the process of diligently getting the most out of our dollars. Don't know if you remember that, but I remember us shaking hands, and I pledged my vote. I made good on my end, and tonight I ask that you make good on your end. If Cabarrus County Schools hired you tonight in the capacity of the consultant for the Mount Pleasant Middle School project, how would you handle moving forward? On behalf of the citizens of the Eastern Cabarrus County, if your children were going to be attending Mount Pleasant Middle School, would you approach this opportunity any different than what's out there now? The board has a vested interest in getting this school correct. This educational facility is more than just another facility in your profile. It is the opportunity to showcase to Eastern Cabarrus County what is possible, what is expected, what they want, and what they deserve. You see, the citizens of Eastern Cabarrus County have had to settle, and they've had to accept substandard provisions. To my knowledge, there has been only two proposals given to the citizens, either build at the high school or rebuild the existing middle school. But just like Chad Mockerman had said, let the public decide. If you do your due diligence and you find that there are other opportunities out there, we want to hear them. I want what's best for my children. Just Friday, they announced that Philip Morris sold. We heard 64 apartment units are going in Mount Pleasant. Are we looking now? Are we looking 10 years out, 20 years out, 40 years out? My time's up. But I appreciate your expertise, and I really hope that you give us some proposals. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Next will be Tom Earnhardt.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to come speak with you tonight. I'm here to talk about the new Mount Pleasant Middle School. First, let me begin by dispelling a few rumors that you may have heard. First off, I'm not in favor of relocating the school outside of the Mount Pleasant. In fact, I was against the relocation of the Mount Pleasant Middle School to the high school site in 2007 and remain against that site even to this day. Secondly, I do not have any motives of personal financial gain. Instead, only raise the issue because of love of my community, a place where I choose to live and raise my family, a place where I attended grades 1 through 12. For a point of reference, I am one of many people responsible for getting the ambulance station built in the eastern Cabarrus County area there in Mount Pleasant. Also, I, along with my business partners, donated the land for the Mount Pleasant Library. So understand any rumors that you may have heard that I have something to gain financially are far from the truth. I just believe in doing the right thing for our neighbors so that everyone benefits. Now, having said that, let's get to why I'm really here tonight. I am here to provide a vision for the Mount Pleasant Middle School, the town of Mount Pleasant, and the entire eastern half of Cabarrus County. We support the notion of building a new school on a new site within Mount Pleasant and repurposing the existing school. This is a win-win proposition for all parties concerned. Even your own experts admit that a new school can be built faster and cheaper on a new site than trying to deal with the logistical problems of demolition and phasing the existing site. I have heard some of you say you would consider a new location, but we just don't have the money for new land. Well, yes, you do. There is new land available in Mount Pleasant at half the cost you have paid for other locations across the county. You're about to spend nearly $1 million tearing down something that could be repurposed for the good of eastern Cabarrus County residents. The school board over the years have been accused of not always spending our taxpayers' money wisely. History is about to repeat itself here if you proceed without weighing all the options. You could save an additional $1 to $1.5 million by using the plans for a recently designed middle school. It is wasteful spending paying an architect to redesign a facility each and every time a new school is needed somewhere in the county. The educational needs of our students are the same, regardless. Cabarrus County schools should have several designs for a high school, a middle school, and an elementary school that could be pulled off the shelf and tweaked to fit the community and the site topography. Look at the logistical issues of construction going on while students are trying to learn. How will they deal with the noise and the vibration issues while construction is underway? And how will you ensure the safety of our kids at the construction site? And look at the final product. I'm told that other middle schools across the county are located on between 40 and 60 acres of land. The existing site of Mount Pleasant is only 23 acres. The town planner of Mount Pleasant has advised against closing down North Drive, which is a state road, which further depletes the availability of a rebuilding site. This decision should be based on sound financial and business principles, not emotion. This proposal is a win-win for Cabarrus County government, Cabarrus County school system, the town of Mount Pleasant, the teachers, staff, and students of Mount Pleasant Middle School, and the residents of eastern Cabarrus County. I don't have time to get into specifics of each merit, but I have those available for anyone interested. In college, we are taught to be open-minded, to think outside the box, to explore all options before deciding the best course of action. Businesses today do not make decisions without weighing all the options. Why would you not do the same? You have at your disposal software programs where a specific site can be loaded and cost estimates can be easily generated that would enable you to do a true head-to-head comparison. Why would you choose to ignore this option? Do you think our county commissioners may ask the same thing? In closing, the teachers, staff, students, and community of Mount Pleasant Middle School need and deserve a new middle school equal to what has been built in other parts of Cabarrus County. Nothing more and nothing less. Historically, Mount Pleasant has always been left behind when it comes to updated facilities. Taxpayers in eastern Cabarrus County have paid one tax bond after another. Now it's time to get an upgraded facility of their own without delay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Earnhardt. Our next speaker will be Mr. Scott Maringer.
Good evening. Thank you. First of all, I want to say I'm here speaking as a member of the Eastern Cabarrus community, not as a member of the town board of Mount Pleasant. Again, I know Mount Pleasant is the hot topic replacement within the community and the town. You know, as Mr. Earnhardt stated earlier, closing that North Drive is a vital route around Mount Pleasant if something happens, and that's an interesting situation that we want to try to maintain to have flow of traffic if something happens at the 49 intersection. Also, the Eastern Cabarrus community and citizens in that community have expectations to have the same type of facilities in the middle school as we do in the other middle schools in Cabarrus County. I'm not here just about Mount Pleasant Middle School, though. I look at Mount Pleasant Elementary School. I have a granddaughter that goes there currently and one coming up that would go in there. That school was built in 1972. It was built in half. The citizens of Mount Pleasant had to do with half of the school to start out. I would come home from college, we'd drive our cars up and go shoot basketball in the gymnasium because it was wide open. A bond had to be put forth to finish that facility. So Mount Pleasant has been shortchanged in the past in the construction of facilities. I see this as an opportunity to look for the future of providing property that you can build a middle school and an elementary school later. As Mr. Earnhardt stated, saving money would be a vital part to this. So, and only one elementary school that I can remember in 50 years, like I said, that was built in half. And we won't be shortchanged in the middle school property as well. So I see this as a perfect opportunity to purchase the land to have available when that time comes, because that school is currently 42 years old. And it was built at the same time that the Wolf Meadow Elementary School was built. Except Wolf Meadow was built all in full at one time, not half at a time. What I would like to see and request is to have a community meeting in Mount Pleasant area to present the facts on construction of the middle school replacement and answer questions. Have representatives from the facility management team here, Mr. Whitke and his team, as well as some board members and even county commissioners to be there to answer questions. And, you know, important fact is we don't need to let funding, which is not there yet, or politics to delay or cause this project to be put off. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Maringer. We have one more speaker, Ms. Susan Raines.
Good evening. I agree with a lot that's been said. I'm here too to talk about the Mount Pleasant Middle School. There's been a lot of talk about that. And I'd like to share some ideas that I think could be exciting. The idea of choosing a new site to build the new Mount Pleasant Middle School and repurposing the existing facilities has enough positives that warrants further investigation. It is an intriguing idea and one that would demand full cooperation amongst the various approving bodies. This is an opportunity for the town of Mount Pleasant and citizens of Eastern Cabarrus County to gain desperately needed facilities, not only for 6th through 8th grade school children, but citizens of all ages who live in around the Mount Pleasant area. Here is a partial list of facts that may help the decision-making process. And it is believed that the pros far outweigh the cons in support of building the new school at a new site within the town of Mount Pleasant. The existing Mount Pleasant Middle School could be repurposed for the benefit of all Eastern Cabarrus County residents. It will be logistically more challenging to rebuilding on the same site while students are present, as that's been stated earlier. And we've talked about North Drive that would probably be closed, and that serves as an important bypass around Mount Pleasant during events such as parades and emergencies that require Highway 49 to be shut down. Building on a new site will add a net positive number of athletic fields to serve the community. Building on the same site will result in a net reduction of number of athletic fields, which is already at critical mass in Mount Pleasant. Rebuilding on the current site will require Cabarrus County taxpayers to spend over $1 million tearing down existing facilities that could be repurposed for the betterment of our community. A new site makes the most sense in terms of using our tax dollars wisely. Utilizing the current site has no provisions for replacing the current Mount Pleasant Elementary School. It's no secret that Mount Pleasant Elementary will need some attention in 10 to 15 years. Securing land will now save money well into the future. A new location may allow for natural gas service to be brought to the site, saving significant dollars in utility costs far into the future. These are a few possibilities for the repurposing of Mount Pleasant Middle School. A community center equipped with exercise facilities and a warm water pool, a Mount Pleasant branch of the local community college. All current sports fields, including the Behringer Stadium, could remain. North Drive could remain open for greater access. Current gyms could remain in use by various sport leagues. The current auditorium could remain for the use for the local theater performances, music venues, etc., adding cultural events to our area. The cafeteria could be used by Cabarrus Meals on Wheels to serve eastern Cabarrus County. Potential funding sources include public-private ventures, donations, membership sales, etc. Although the timeline is short, design meetings are just beginning to occur, so it's not too late for a new site consideration and should not cause any significant delays to the project. This is put forth for discussion purpose only. I applaud the leaders who have an open mind and support serving the most people while being good stewards of our tax dollars. Sometimes we are too quick to tear down existing facilities when a relatively small amount of funding and hard work on behalf of our public and civic leaders could serve the entire eastern part of Cabarrus County resident well into the future. And it is my belief that a leader, a good leader, signs of a good leader, take care of their citizens by keeping them safe while empowering them. And I hope that you'll do that while making the decision for our middle school.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Raines. Okay, board members, will move on to Section 8 of our agenda, the approval of the consent agenda. These are the items we discussed last week and had agreement to put on the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
I've got a motion by Mr. Shue and a second by Mr. Walter. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the consent agenda has been approved, and we will move on to the action agenda. And we will ask Ms. Kelly Klutz to come to the podium. You can come to the program if you want, but I would rather have you at the podium. For 9.1, the adoption of the agenda.
The budget.
Can you tell my brain is fried? Okay, let's start over. We'll ask Ms. Kelly Klutz to come for the adoption of the proposed budget for 2014-15.
Oh, I think I'm sorry, my book was on the mouse. I'm sorry. Can you get us in the right place now? Okay, good afternoon. Again, as Mr. Kiger indicated, we're going to attempt to adopt our proposed budget today. We've talked about our budget in 3 prior board meetings. We had 4 budget committee meetings where we've had discussion and changes. You've had an opportunity to submit your questions and concerns and changes, and I think we've incorporated those into the document before you today. I'm going to do a quick review of our summary request, and I'm going to try to fix what I messed up. Sorry. Okay. This document is a summary of our operating budget request. Currently, this fiscal year 2013-2014, our amended budget for operating is $48,920,175. For 2014-2015, we're requesting $66,887,716 for a request increase of $17,967,541. Okay? The second part, in summary, would be our capital outlay budget request, and I'm just going to skip through here to get to that summary document. Capital budget request is $120,639,514, and that excludes the $33 million that has been approved recently for school construction. Okay, I'll take questions or comments.
Board members, any questions or comments? We have talked about this numerous times, but feel free if you've got something either new or you don't understand or you can't remember. Okay, go ahead. Do you have a question or a comment? We'll go right ahead. I tell you what, before you do that, tell us which page you're on so we'll all be on the same.
I'm on the second page. And it's not really, it's a comment here. It's what I and I do want to say I appreciate, Kelly, you've been very responsive, more so than I expected. Every question that we sent to you, you came back with quite a bit of information overload, and I appreciate that. But I just struggle with the whole number that we're asking for 37% increase in 1 year, and then we're asking for 120 million in 1 year, and we know that that's not able to be funded. So it's just not there. So that's where I struggle with. I know we've had, as you said, we've had 3 prior board meetings where you brought this. We've had this committees that spent countless hours going through what the needs are and prioritizing those and going through the Trago process with a lot of that and coming up with some priorities. But again, I don't see how we can expect to see that amount coming forward. But we need to, still on the other hand, we need to show them what the needs are. And if we don't do that, or if you don't ask, I guess you're not going to get anything. We have big priorities. We have teachers that we want to show support for, and other staff members we've got that haven't had raises. Technology needs, facility repairs that we've gone over and over and over with, roofs that are leaking that need to be fixed. Transportation, with the growth that we're seeing, we don't have enough buses to transport everybody. So there are some real critical needs, and those are the things that I think we somehow need to focus on. But I just struggle with the whole total number, because it includes more than just that. But those are just my comments.
Okay, we will have more comments before we go, and I think everybody will maybe plow through, and everybody can either respond to kind of one of some of your questions or ask or make any other comments they want to make. So go ahead, Kelly. You're done. All right. Well, good.
Mr. Chairman, I can
then we'll go to Mr. Shue.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Rob, I agree with what you're saying, because I struggle with it every year, and this is the 12th budget that I've done with being on the board, and I struggle with it every year. But then again, look at it. When I came on the board in 2000, we had 15,000 students. We got well over 30,000 students now. We're living in a growing community that has growing needs, and I learned a long time ago, if you don't ask, you're surely not going to get. And so, and the commissioners continually tell us what you need, tell us what you need. And for all the years past, we told them what we needed, and we still didn't get what we needed. We got a portion of what we needed. And that alone has taken Cabarrus County Schools to where we are now. And so what we're asking for now will make us partially whole. It will make us partially whole and get us back to where we were, and hopefully we can continue to meet the needs of a growing community. And, but I struggle with it every year. But I'm sure Dr. Shepard and Kelly and everyone that has worked on this since November. Mm-hmm. The different departments have brought their budget requests, and literally for years and years and years they've done without things. That, hey, we've finally decided, well, it's time that we try to start gaining some of these things back and putting some of these things back in the budget. Now, whether we'll get it, I agree with you. We probably won't get it. I mean, I don't see how we can get it, because this alone is half of the county's budget, what we're asking for. Well, actually, it's 3/4 of the total annual county budget is what we're asking for. When you look at it as a whole, the capital outlay and the facilities maintenance and all those things, it's a tremendous amount of money. And this problem didn't happen overnight, and it's not going to be resolved overnight. But maybe this will help us get on the right track to solving some of these funding issues that we've had in the past. And without any further thing from me, I'm okay with presenting the budget as it is, Kelly, and I thank you so much for all the hard work that you put into this and all of the, I would suppose there was probably 30 people on the budget committee that worked with you on this diligently and all the all-day meetings and all of that to come up with this. And so, although it's something that, like I said, I struggle with, but I struggle with the growth too. They just keep coming, and we got to keep meeting the needs. So I thank you, Ms. Klutz.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shue. Mr. Harrison, you have questions or comments?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, thank you. At a meeting of the County Commission, Commission Chair Poole commented that the commission, in her opinion, had been, and I'm speaking broadly, had been stingy regarding school funding. And that put it in a nutshell to me. And I know a great deal of the anxiety about the funding is a matter of the county economy and the local and area economy. I support the budget because a lot of work has gone into it. Due diligence has been exercised in a formal, professional, thorough manner. And the budget, as it's stated, is a reflection of years of the county's inability for various various reasons, economic and political will, to maintain what we should be fixing. We can't have a roof leaking and say wait 5 years for the funds to fix the leaking roof. Literally. I'm not making this up. Ain't nobody here making this stuff up, folks. Literally. Something like the needs that we have are urgent needs, have to be done, must be done, cannot be delayed, or as we like to say, deferred, which is such a nice, polite word, for inaction. I will ask this. For a while I enjoyed participating in what was maybe still called junior achievement. And all the programs for junior achievement were kind of canned for you, and you went into a classroom of different ages of kindergarten, first, second, third, but it was a program that you followed for several weeks. And junior achievement was always predicated on wants and needs. Wants and needs. It basically was an economics lesson at age-appropriate levels. And this document does contain the word wants. There are things in here that we want. And I'll ask Ms. Klutz, I'm an English major, I know what the word want means, but in budgetary terms, what do we mean when we are designating items in this budget as wants? And I'm asking for kind of a technical explanation of why some items are marked that way. I guess what I'm saying is when I see that, how urgent is that want?
I'm not sure that I have a technical definition for you, but let me tell you.
It's not an accounting term.
It's not an accounting term, but let me assure you that the items that are listed as wants are not presented in these numbers. If they are wants, they are pushed out beyond the 5-year projection, in the 5-year projection or beyond the 5-year projection. So they are not identified in the number that we are asking the county for.
That's correct. I do apologize. They are in a future column. In several. Yeah. Okay. But so you're saying there is a projectable urgency to those items.
There's not an urgency. We're indicating that those are things that we would like to have, assuming that all of our needs were taken care of. And
I think we're all in agreement that many of these needs stated in this budget have simply not been addressed in previous years.
Correct.
And that we are adding to and adding to and adding to the inattention, in effect, that the county has had the political and economic will to face. It only gets worse if we keep pushing things off and off and off, like a leaking roof. Thank you. And I do support the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Dr. Phillips, you have questions or comments?
I just have a comment. Certainly, I share Rob's concern that we're obviously asking for a lot more than what we're going to get. In my nature, I'm a compromiser. If I felt that by asking for less we would get more, I would say let's ask for less. But the reality is that when the County Commission told us that, or we requested a bond issue, we got the indication that because some of our older schools that will be 20 years old in 2016, those bonds will be paid off. There was room to be able to fund at least $60 million of new school bonds without the taxes being raised. And so therefore this board, in a spirit of compromise, said, even though we know we have almost $200 million in needs for new schools, we are going to ask for around $65 million to go on a bond issue to address our most urgent needs. And that request, frankly, was treated with contempt by the county commissioners. And when you start attacking my public school system, I'm going to dig in my heels and I'm going to ask for everything we need to have a high-quality school system. And I'll let them tell us that we can't have it.
Thank you, Dr. Phillips. My comments, I'll be brief, and I guess since you got the ball rolling, I'm going to respond to what you said too. And this is, I guess, my fourth time going through this. And the first year I sat here, and we actually did cut. We tried to find things. Well, we can't do that. And it was 8% we were looking for. We thought it was going to be 15, and we were whittling down, and there was a number there. And it was painful, and we talked about things instead of people, and we tried to make sure we did the right thing and the responsible thing. And from the day that I got here, I have struggled with the amount of needs and what it is that's out there. When you go to Courtney's school at C.C. Griffin and you see something that they don't have or they need, or something that's broken or fixed, or you go out to Royal Oaks, or you go somewhere, and not the new schools, the old schools, it's tough because at home you have to go home and you got to put your taxpayer hat on because, well, you know where it's coming from. That's where the money's coming from. But when we come over here and in this role and at this job, we've got to figure out how to make those ends meet and how to stretch that dollar as far as we can across as many schools as we can. And we've done the one way that we did it in the first 3 times I was here was asking for X, knowing we were going to get less than X. Well, we're doing the same thing. It's now X plus Y, knowing we're going to get something less than that. This is a large number. It's a large increase. But we can't, for years, that's the way we've operated. Knowing we weren't going to get something, well, we just won't ask for it. And that's, in this particular role, it's a tough, I'm glad I don't sit on that other side of the table. That is an enormously difficult task. We're going to them along with a lot of other people with their hand out. I mean, there's no other way to decide it. They have to figure out how to divvy it up, and we're standing there. We just happen to be probably the biggest guy on the block because our portion's enormous. So here we are. They're going to have to figure out tools at their disposal that makes it work, but we have to, and we've got a responsibility to Courtney and her peers, to Dr. Shepard and the administration and the staff, to the parents that send their kids to our schools, to figure out what do we need and what are we going to ask for to try to fill those needs. And David, I'm glad you brought up wants and needs, because we sat in the conference room and we kicked off stuff item after item that we said somebody at the school said was a need, and we as a representative of this board said that's not a need, that's a want. And that's a tough call because you got to tell somebody you don't get that. But at the end of the day, the things that we have, I have no doubt somebody can nitpick and tell me something on there is a need. A want. But we looked at it as a board, as a subcommittee and a board, and said, well, I think that this is where we are and this is what we need to ask for. So without rambling on any further, those are my comments. I will state I'm a little uncomfortable voting for our budget with two of our board members not here. And I think that's just not the way I would rather us do this. We will present this in May to the commissioners, so this is it. We have to pass, or I guess if it doesn't pass, then we'll scramble around and figure out what to do. But from the comments I heard, I think it's going to pass. But for the record, I'm uncomfortable with two members not being here to vote as a board, so we all know where we are and that we as a board have requested this money. But we can't do anything about Ms. Carpenter and Mr. Shoemaker not being here. So with that, board members, I would like for a motion that the proposed budget for Cabarrus County Schools for 2014 and 2015 be approved as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Shue.
One more question.
I will second it.
We need a second if you
I'll
want further
second it.
discussion.
Yep.
Okay, we have a second, so if you want further discussion, by all means, Mr. Walter, go ahead.
So this budget's going to go to the commissioners. They don't have the right to pick and choose what projects or what they're going to approve. They're giving us an amount. Is that how that works?
Go ahead, Mark. That is correct. If you want to expand on that.
Yeah, that's right. It's not, they will decide how much they're going to give you in each of the categories. So they will say, this is how much we are giving for your current expense. This is how much for capital outlay. But it's only by fund. They don't say we're going to pick and choose, these 10 line items. They will give you a dollar amount.
We provided them
in
that,
each fund.
that detail where they can almost do that.
You've got that detail, so if they wanted to fund down, and we've tried to list them in order, so potentially in that sense, they could say, this is how much we're giving you, but they don't vote on the expenditure. You present the budget and say, this is how much we need, and then they can give you what you've asked for, they can give you something less than what you've asked for, but their budget is done, their vote is actually by fund, so they'll just give you a current expense dollar amount for the year. They don't break it down into, we're giving you this much for a raise and this much for a person.
And then we'll go back to the...
But Kelly wants to add to that.
They have recently broken it down by function in current expense, so we're 5,100, 5,200, which means regular instruction, special ed instruction. So it's not, certainly not by line item as you indicated here, but there's a little more control than we previously had, but not as indicated here in the book.
Okay. Well, if we're presenting a list of needs, that's one thing, because I understand that the need to present that and get that in their hands. But hopefully we have a plan B when we get the lesser amounts.
And Mr. Chair, just to say this for the 8th or the umpteenth time, I know we've have said so many times, how many people were involved in the compilation of this budget, Ms. Klutz? Can you just give us a good old scope of how much effort, time and elbow grease and intellectual effort has been put into this big old document from the school boards, from the school systems, beg your pardon, perspective?
Can't tell you an exact number, but let me tell you about the groups that have participated in the preparation of the budget document.
And their credibility is on the line. Their professionalism is poured into these efforts. Mm-hmm. They've done the work, and they have presented their best cases for what has been needed. Go ahead, please.
So we start at the school level. We ask for budget requests and budget needs for the school level, and so the school level pulls their committee together, and that's comprised of at least the school improvement team. And the school improvement team is staff, parents, anyone that they feel is necessary. Could be outside people in the community. So we have school improvement teams, we have schools. Once we get the school request, that comes up to the department and the central office level, and then we'll have departments that pull together, and they'll have their teams that come together and review the document. So we'll have elementary groups, so all the elementary reviewed that documentation. All the middle school groups came together and reviewed that, and all the high school groups came together and reviewed that. have similar groups in transportation that reviewed their requests and committees that came together. Same thing for technology groups. Once all of those groups pulled and compiled their documents, same for facilities and capital. And so once all that work starts back in November, and we work through January, February. Once that work's done, we start with our budget committee meetings, and those are all-day meetings, 4 all-day meetings of a group of 25, 30 people, and we pull through those documents. And then, of course, those documents come to you, and then you're able to change and modify the documents as you wish.
This is the fourth time the school board itself has looked at all the work that the individuals
That's correct.
have done.
That's correct.
Well,
Again,
and it was looked at the subcommittee level as well.
And
absolutely.
I hear hundreds of people, I hear thousands of hours of time put into this document. I hear a great deal of professionalism, seriousness, effort. I hear facts and figures in this budget that have been vetted by people who know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. I have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any other further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adopting the 2014-15 budget, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries, Ms. Monroe. And that is now the Board of Education. It just went from the superintendent's recommended budget to the Board of Education budget. Okay, we will move on. 9.2, Ms. Klutz, our approval of budget amendment number 4. I believe this was the one that Dr. Phillips wanted pulled off of the consent agenda and added to the action agenda.
Yes, sir. And I'm going to ask Mr. Dr. Van Hubel, easy for me to say, Jason, to speak on, on this topic.
Y'all going to sound like our chairman if you keep that up.
So I did want to address your comments, Dr. Phillips, from last week. I think we all share your sentiment in that unfunded mandates are not something we really appreciate coming down from Raleigh. However, the money needed to run a high-quality summer camp. We've really done our homework on that, and we feel like we're going to provide a great summer camp opportunity for kids that's going to really close gaps in reading. And so as the department head that's going to execute the summer camp, we really do need those resources to do a good job, good quality job. I want to remind the board that we did pass a resolution to kind of state publicly our feelings about unfunded mandates. So I would ask that we do pass that portion of the budget amendment. For those reasons, we really have allocated what we need to do a good job.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Any other comments? I'll make one real quick. Go right ahead. Well, I just was going to reiterate that the unfunded mandate part, it's very irritating. The guys in Raleigh, they don't like it when D.C. does it to them, and I don't like it when D.C. does it to them, but we don't like it when they do it to us. But the reality is, the guy holding the purse strings, they end up trying to tell you and dictating how you're going to do things and what you want to do, and it kind of drives you. So to offer the program the way that, to our standard and the way we want to do it, it's kind of like we just sort of have to play the game. So with that, is anybody else? Dr. Phillips, you have another comment?
Well, I do. So just to make it clear, the part of this that I'm disagreeing with is the middle section where we're taking $304,000 from what would be going to instructional salaries to pay for a portion of the summer reading camp that the state's not going to pay for. About $304,000. I believe that would have paid for a full year teacher or 6 full year teachers. Is that right? Or if we had chosen, it could have been 12 teacher assistants. Those 12 teacher assistants could have been placed in 3rd grade and could have been working all year long on helping students to avoid going to the summer camp. And I'm a little upset that decision was not given to the board before April of this year, when now we can't really take advantage of it. But I am also very much against these unfunded mandates that come down from the state. We already had a budget discussion which showed that we're underfunded significantly just to do the things we want to do. And then when they come and tell us that we have to do things we don't want to do and they're not going to fully fund it, I think we have to. I think we have an obligation to push back or it will never stop. And I think this is a good one to push back on. And so therefore, I am going to make a motion that we remove the reclass of funds for local match of school local funds to cover unfunded portion of the school summer camps, Read to Achieve, and so that's my motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to remove 2.5100.01, 16, and 5316 and 6516. While I'm waiting on a second, I'll ask maybe a generic or philosophical question. What's the impact? If we defeat this, I mean, we follow Jeff's motion. What's the impact of?
Well, bottom line impact is we're going to run summer camp with, 40% less money, which means less teachers, less program materials, maybe cutting site administrators, we'll have to do it within the allocated budget, which is $340,000, instead of the $600,000 we believe it will take to run a quality summer camp.
Okay. I think we probably may have some other comments, so let me get a second before we have discussion. Yeah.
Well, before we call for the second, let's get some more clarification on this, Mr. Chair, if it's all right.
Jeff has made a motion that the $304,840 be pulled out of this budget amendment and we return back to the general fund.
Well, there's still some questions that need to be answered. Originally, when we were talking about...
Well, if it doesn't get a second, there's
well,
nothing
that's
to
true,
talk
but
about.
this is going to determine whether we get a second or not. Possibly.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, we're asking for $304,000, which is the difference from what the state gave us. We're making that up. But now, when we were originally talking about these third graders going to fourth grade, we were talking that there may be upwards of 1,000 students. Now, the question is that number still going to be around 1,000?
No, that number will go down based on the new leveling system. So as you remember, we used to have 4 levels for achievement. Levels 1, 2, 3, 4, all level 1s and 2s were not proficient. So recently, within the last month, the state board did change the leveling system for students, and now it's a 1 to 5 scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in essence, the top level 2s in this category are now considered level 3, and they will not have to attend summer camp. So we still don't know how many exactly, but that number will go down from 1,000.
Can you give us some type of an indication? Because obviously, we've already got the state's money.
Yeah.
And it's going to go so far.
Right.
And that's with 1,000. Mm-hmm. So thinking like some folks think, half would be half. Or if you got 1,000 at 600,000, then a half would be 300,000. We've already got that from the state.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to look over to Tara. I think you have.
So if we are looking at 600 or 700 or 800, then that's substantially lower than 1,000, and therefore 304,000 won't be needed, in my opinion. And it would be a much lesser amount that Mr. Phillips might not quite have as much heartburn with. And I agree with you. I hate to see monies taken out that could be used. Of course, the thing is, though, this money here would be one-time money, but the salaries and all of that is reoccurring. And we don't have that to replace that. So we got to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we will have less students in the original projection, and therefore we won't need as many teachers, for example. We're still estimating between 700 and 800 students. We're not going to have a drastic reduction in students, and many of the costs will stay the same, including transportation and sites and energy and all those things. The teachers will be our primary savings area. Yep.
Well, based on that information, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to amend this. I think I can amend Jeff's motion here. His motion is to not to take it out, and maybe we can amend that to do maybe half of this 304,000. I think it would be easier to come up with 150,000 than it would be 300,000. And that's just my thinking. You know, now, Ms. Klutz, you know, this is right down your alley. And, you know, you told us last week during the discussion.
Hang on a second. We can't amend a motion that has not been approved yet.
Right.
I'm sorry, or has not been seconded yet.
Okay.
So if you
All
want
right.
to just wait and see if it gets to say, it may die.
All right. Well,
So,
you could make a new motion.
and then you
Okay,
can make
all
a
right.
new
Let's-
motion.
well, let's do
So,
that.
board
You-
members, is there a second for the motion that is currently on the floor? Okay, hearing none, that motion has died. So now, board members, I'd like to ask, does anybody have another motion they would like to offer, or does anybody want to offer a motion to approve the budget amendment as presented?
Well, let's hear from Ms. Klutz, you know, about the money part. You said, we talked about if we don't approve this, obviously you've got to find the money somewhere.
I can't find the money somewhere if you do not approve it. I will not allow him to spend this money on this program if you do not approve it. I can't. You
Even 150,000 would be the same. In other words, whether it's 300 or none, is that what you're saying basically?
only whatever the board approves. If the board approves 150, then I'll give him 150. But if you say he cannot spend money on this Read to Achieve, then he has only what the state has given him to do this program with, and that's it.
And that basically is going to depend on how many students we have. If it's obviously, if
Correct,
it's a
yeah,
higher,
yeah.
I mean, we feel certain that it's not going to be a higher.
It's not going to be over
number
1,000, no.
Because the rate was changed.
Correct.
So obviously, it's going to be lower. And so that's why I recommended 150,000.
Right, and so as we planned the summer camp, right, to plan an effective summer camp that's going to achieve the objectives that we want, which is to close reading gaps for kids. These are our most at-risk students in Cabarrus County in third grade. To help close those gaps, we've developed a budget based on that. Any unused money obviously would go back into our books. We'd have another budget amendment at the end, depending on, so we're kind of shooting in the dark here, depending on how many students come to or have to come to our summer camp. But what I would hate to do is run a summer camp and not have it the quality that we need and demand here in Cabarrus County Schools to really make a difference for reading achievement. So, in my opinion, that is only going to happen if we add to the money that the state has given to us. So regardless, we're asking that the board give us more money to execute a high-quality summer camp.
Well, and I fully understand that. And I'm right there with you because we're all about quality, educating the whole child, bringing them up to grade level reading. You know, I'm all about that, and I want to see that. But I also want to try to be budgetary minded. And this would be another question that, say, we do approve 150,000, and we find out what the enrollment is, or do you have to plan? Can you not come back to us at some other point and say, well, we based this on 600, and now we got 700, and we could ask for an additional amount at that time?
We're recruiting teachers now. We've got the sites now. We're buying instructional materials now. We are making all those decisions right now. We're interviewing for site administrators now. All of those decisions are predicated on this particular budget.
But you're not planning on 1,000 students, though?
No. We back that down to 700 to 800 students based on the new leveling system. Yeah.
All right, I have all my questions answered, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shue. Dr. Shepard, did you have a comment?
That's an accurate reflection. 11% reduction with the 5 levels rather than the 4 is what statewide is anticipating. So I would say that's a fair number. Have you calculated anything in for the alternate assessments and the flexibility we were given there?
So I have some of the numbers from the schools because I'm constantly collecting data from them as we do the Discovery Education assessments that we approved as alternate assessments and the Reading 3D assessments. What I will say is that what we budgeted for teachers to do the program is about the same amount that the state has given us. So just to give you an idea of, that's only the personnel. So when you put in transportation, you put in the materials, and you put in the other pieces that we need, we have to go above and beyond what the state has provided, or we will not be able to run as Jason said, the kind of program we need to. So we are checking numbers. I was getting ready to send something out to our schools again in the next week or two to get a more accurate count, so that as we hire, we're being very careful about the teachers to whom we're offering positions and the number that we offer, but we also want to make sure that we have the funds available, because we want to have a fantastic program. And with what the state is providing, it's going to be very challenging to do that without some additional funds. As Jason said, we will be very cognizant of those dollars, and because we know most costs come from personnel, if we find that we have less students, we'll obviously won't have as many teachers, and those funds can go back into a different allocation. But that's what we're looking at
Okay,
right
and
now.
the things, when you said the things we have to add in, you listed 3 or 4. Those are all things that we are required to do by the state law.
Yes.
Is that right? We have no option and no flexibility. So if the law said 6 years. We got a reprieve, and I mean not years, weeks, and we got a reprieve and said 4. Right. But we still have to provide transportation in the summer to this summer camp.
Correct.
Okay. Well, it's again, and we've said, and I think everybody here kind of understands, we don't like where we got to go and why we have to do this. For consistency's sake, I will say that on the 25% piece, I've not with this, with that the salaries, I've been kind of adamant, as other districts around have filed suit and said they weren't going to follow the law and this, that, and the other. I've been adamant that we've got to follow the law. We might not like it, and we might be able to do something about it or to push back, as Jeff has said. And I think this is a prime example where you got to figure out a way to push back. I'm not sure taking the money out of the program at this level is the way to do that, although I clearly understand where Dr. Phillips is coming from on that. But I think the law is clear of what we've got to provide, and we don't really have a choice for that. Mr. Shue's on to something there. If the enrollment's not what we think it is, I mean, we just got to do what we always do, which is monitor it. Don't spend it if you don't have to. If you can give it back, then you give it back, and I trust that you're going to do that. So, with any other comments, we do need a motion so we can move forward.
I just would kind of like to say, maybe I'm just stating the obvious, but the hardest lesson I've learned here is that a free education ain't free. And critics of the school system in general, or this board in particular, your head would spin. Your head would spin about the catch-22s, the binds we're in, the legal obligations we have. Name the whole litany of facts and realities between budget, actual numbers, and laws that we have to abide by and follow. And we have to make tough decisions. But then, making a tough decision, we are the ones who, pardon me, catch the flack. And when we make tough decisions, we usually have a great deal of positive impact on children's lives and teachers and staff and families in a positive, constructive, good kind of way. But this stuff does not come easy. There are some binds we can't get out of. What can I, possibly say that gives us wiggle room in this, yes, unfunded mandate, but by which we have to abide? It's hard. It's a hard pill to have to swallow, but it is the truth, and it's what we have to actually do and make happen here.
Well, the only wiggle room you got is to change the number. I mean, that's what you got. So here, again, I'll ask for a motion that we approve the budget amendment number 4 to the local fund as presented by Ms. Klutz.
Mr. Chairman, as reluctant as I am, but I understand the circumstances that Dr. Van Hukelum and Ms. Klutz are in. I'll make the motion that we approve the budget amendment here so that we can carry on with the quality education. And we can't, I'm thinking about, if we would say, well, if we were to give $150,000, then what that means is that we got 800 kids, we'll have funding for 650. And no child should be left behind. No kid should be left out. And so I'm going to go with the idea that you are going to be very conservative with what you spend. I would like to get a report back when when the dust settles, let us know what was approved and what was spent so that we'll have some kind of a report. But I'll make the motion, Mr. Chair, we'll approve the budget amendment.
Motion by Mr. Shue.
And I'll second that.
We have a second by Mr. Walter. Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay, Monroe, that's 4-1. Okay, we will move on to the capital, budget amendment number 4, capital outlay fund. I'll be honest with you, I don't remember what, we just needed to reclass and show the numbers in a different way. That's why this is, okay, that's why this was on the cap. Okay, board members, Mount Pleasant Middle School construction, we've been given $15.5 million by the county commissioners for the construction and replacement of Mount Pleasant Middle School. We have requested $22 million. I believe that one of the reasons we had some discussion of whether we needed to not accept this in lieu of waiting till we got fully funded. I believe the proper way to go, I'm of the opinion that we need to go ahead and take it. We set it aside, but we make perfectly clear, which we have done. We have done at the board commissioner retreat, we've done at the work session, and we've done at a joint meeting. So we've done it 3 times, that their level of funding for this project is not enough. It is not going to build the school that we just had 4 people stand here and tell us they deserve the same school that the other people in the rest of the county are getting. So anybody that doesn't think we listen when they're speaking to us, we heard you loud and clear. So with that said, we have split off the 13.5 and the 2, and I would like, does anybody have any other comment they'd like to make before I ask for the motion? Anybody want to make a motion that we approve budget amendment number 4, the capital outlay fund? Second. I
move for approval.
Okay. Yeah, let's don't get too far ahead of ourselves there. So, Dr. Phillips has made the motion, and Mr. Harrison has seconded that we approve the budget amendment number 4, capital outlay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that amendment or that budget amendment passes. Thank you, board members. We will move on to 9.4, the approval of the Head Start application, and Dr. Tara Natras. I believe this is the one where Carolyn returned from the national meeting and said we had to have a specific wording of the motion. I questioned that and wanted to make sure that Sarah and Mark knew exactly who was doing the asking and what it was that we were approving and why we were being told that a motion had to be worded a certain way. So I believe we got that answer, but Mark, if you want to expand on that, feel free.
I think that's right. I think we've now, but let me say, if you'll either give me a minute to review Sarah's notes, or Tara can respond.
Sure.
I know
Tara, do you want to go ahead?
So I obviously wasn't here last week when Dr. Van Hugelen presented, but did speak with him and talked with Sarah last week just to revise the motion. If you remember when we did the Head Start presentations back in the fall, October, November, and we were looking at some of the pieces from our monitoring visit, one of the things that they wanted to make sure that we were clear on was that the governing body of Head Start, which is our school board, approves not only the application every year, but also the bylaws for the Policy Council for Head Start, as well as the project description and the other documents that are here. So when you read the motion now, it isn't just approving our Head Start application, which we've traditionally done every year. It's also approving the bylaws of the Policy Council, which, if you'll recall from the fall, is how we select the members of the Policy Council and what their roles are. The abbreviated project description and the grant application report. So that just provides us with the documentation of we've covered all of those pieces when presenting the information. So that's what Carolyn was referring to last week.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tara. Mark, do you have a
Ms.
further
Monroe
comment?
confirmed to me what I wanted to try to check on, which is the language that appears in the motion in board docs is the language that Sarah provided. So I knew she was doing that, but she's confirmed that what you see here is the language she prepared.
Okay, great. I thought I saw an email where that was stated. So, okay, well, board members, I need a motion that the board has reviewed the Head Start application for 2014-15, including the bylaws of the Cabarrus County Schools Head Start Policy Council. the abbreviated project description, and the grant application report, and approves the Head Start application for 2014-15 as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Shue and a second by Mr. Walter. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes, and we will move on to
Thank you.
Thank you. We will move on to 9.5, the approval of the Novation Cooperation Agreement.
All right, you guys had a chance to look at this last week. We did make an amendment based on the recommendation of Barry Shoemaker. So it is a contract for 2 years as requested. And I'll take any questions, or you can vote on it this time.
Board members, any questions on the Novation contract? I thought, and I'm in agreement, I think the 2 years was the right way to go.
Yeah.
I wasn't here last week, but I wanted to commend Dr. Van Hoekelum on the initiative to pursue this. I think it's a way to capitalize on a lot of the hard work that your curriculum staff has done and try to get a return. I think it's real out-of-the-box thinking, and I think it's an exciting opportunity. So I was excited to hear about it, and I commend you for bringing it to the board.
Thanks, Mark. Yep, Rob, you got a comment?
I'm also second that. I think that's great that we were able to do that. The question I had here was, it had something in there about confidential information. Are we allowed?
I think the concern is potentially student information. Obviously, it'll, it's really curriculum material, but I think the view was we should have a general provision protection for any confidential information that ends up being shared.
But you've read that, and that's okay? I mean, we're public.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
I think I am okay with that language.
And the only other comment I had was on the notification section. There's not an individual or something that you're sending it to. But you are when you send it to the legal counsel. You have a name, but you don't have that here. So.
And that's actually, and we go back and forth as lawyers about whether to put individual names or not. I mean, often the argument against it is you have a change of staff in terms of it goes to, Dr. Shepard, but then you may have a different superintendent. Of course, you could have a different lawyer too, so you can, we usually put it, yeah. So sometimes there is an attention, clause, and sometimes it's just notice to the district, and that way whoever's in charge gets it.
Well, I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just not consistent. If it was, you probably should put the title.
Right, we could add an attention line on there to the superintendent, maybe appropriate on that, and whoever their corresponding officer would be.
The last question I had, Mark, would be: are they supposed to execute this first, or is it standard for us to execute it first?
There's no set protocol. I think they want to make sure that our board approved it. So I think we're going to, once the board votes on it, then we can sign it, and they do. I believe it is acceptable to them. We've gone back and forth, but I wanted us to, if we don't do it, then there's no need to have one that they've executed kind of floating around. So I think our expectation is they will sign it, assuming it's acceptable to the board.
Okay. In its current form.
Correct.
Yeah. I don't think the change that you were asking for, I mean, that's immaterial as far as what I think they would. So, okay, board members, do we want to make the notation that Rob made, or we want to accept it as it is? You say you're fine?
Happy to add in the,
okay,
just putting attention lines item under both, for us and for them in terms of who the mail gets addressed to is probably a good addition.
You okay with that? Is that the way? Okay, fantastic. All right, board members, I have a motion that we accept the cooperation agreement, that Novation Corporation agreement be approved as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Walter and a second by Dr. Phillips. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. We will now move on to 9.6, approval of Fanning Howie's fee to conduct a complete facility assessment study. Dave Burnett is here. Before he comes to the podium, or as he's coming to the podium, I'm just going to comment that this is the document that we sat with the commissioners in a joint meeting and told them what the document is, what it's going to do, the information it's going to be provided, and we got all 5 commissioners in support of this document and what we were doing, and we told them that day how much it was going to cost. So just for the record, I want everybody to remember that. I'm not clear why Ms. Carpenter wanted to put this on the action agenda, but here it is, and I don't expect, we talked about it last week. We probably don't need to talk about it too much further, but does anybody have a comment they want to make before we vote on it? Okay, hearing none, I take a motion that we approve the fee for Fanning Howie. Well, I guess there's a lot to this. I better read this one. Okay. I need a motion that the board approve Fanning Howie's fee of $317,000 to conduct a comprehensive and detailed facility assessment study for a minimum of 22 of the oldest Cabarrus County schools, to also include providing a modified scope of services focused on the condition of existing equipment and nameplate data for that equipment at 10 of the newest Cabarrus County schools. Further, that the remaining $15,000 of the initial budget remain in the project as a contingency to address potential additional costs, including drafting of plans of schools where none currently exist, possible modifications of the two software databases, if necessary, to facilitate integration of the study data and/or license fees for the use of these software products.
I move for approval.
I have a motion by Dr. Phillips. And a second by Mr. Harrison. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. We will move on to 9.7, approval of Board of Education resolution regarding the 25% teacher contract resolution. And I would like to thank Dr. Phillips for taking the initiative to write and put some thoughts on paper. And I will turn it over to Dr. Phillips.
Okay, and I need to give thanks to the professor over here because it was a true team effort. The engineer cobbled together pieces from, I think it was mostly Wake County's resolution on this subject, modified it to fit Cabarrus County, and then David polished it up so that it looked professional and reads well. I had given Eileen an earlier version that was posted over the weekend. Then that was before David made his improvements. So I had Eileen repost it with David's improvements. If you read the first one and you want to see what changed, then read the red line. If not, then just go on down to the last one, which says resolution regarding 25% contracts, numbers updated 4/14/14. And that is what I would recommend that we consider.
Okay, board members, since we've had some revisions, if you want a minute to read it, since it got numbers updated on it, or everybody okay? Basically what we're trying to say is, in a very nice way, that we appreciate the law. We're law-abiding citizens, but we don't really think they're going about it the right way, and if it were up to us, we would do it a different way. Okay. Board members, I have a motion that we adopt.
What do we mean by on the third whereas clause? You said you have 92%, and above that you had 77%, and the number doesn't seem to match up. What is that?
I know it's a little confusing. The problem is that many of our teachers don't have AVOS scores or EVOS scores. So of the ones that do, 92% were rated as meeting or exceeding the state effectiveness standard. So, yeah, it's a little confusing. I mean, it might read better, and to avoid confusion, we may want to just delete out the 783.
I think that would help.
Just to say 92%, and then and then we could say, instead of despite the fact that all 92% of these teachers which met or exceeded the effectiveness, or just say, despite the fact that all of those teachers which met or exceeded the effectiveness standard are deserving of increased pay. So that would be the 1, 2, 3, fourth whereas. So Eileen, do you see that? In the third whereas, we just delete the 783 that's in parentheses, and then in the next whereas, we just delete 783 and just say all of those teachers. I think
Ms. Marone, you clear on that? Okay. Board members, any other comments or questions? Do I have a motion to approve the resolution as presented? I have a motion by Mr. Harrison and a second by Mr. Shue. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. And I will say, I spoke to Nick Nostrom and Tuesday, and told him kind of what we did, and he was very pleased and very appreciative. So, and he was going to pass along to the teachers, and so I think we've done the right thing, and I'm glad that we did this. Again, Thank you, Jeff, for the effort, and David as well. And with that, closed session pursuant to General Statute 143. I need a motion that we convene in closed session pursuant to General Statute 143.318.11A3, 143.318.11A5, and 143.318.11A6.
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? This board is now in closed session.